Hey guys and girls, sorry about that. My footage literally dropped as soon as I said we were gonna get going, but we're back. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense. Why this sudden ingress in my courtroom? No, dang it. A judicial assistant, and a woman no less, will state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Oh yeah, I forgot. Females very oppressed against during this time, for the most part, huh? At least in Japan. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But... who are you? There's no time. Accept this. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's. After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no. No, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail. I've summarized what I could on a note just inside. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eyes over it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Goodbye, then, and good luck. This is like past Maya. You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guests any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now, one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yeah, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I have to politely decline... Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however... I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. The above-mentioned effects occurs when the poison enters the body through a wound such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at UMA University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as Curar, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense? Curar, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. You wouldn't have done. You wouldn't have. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Curar before, for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify Curar. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. Order! Order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, Curar has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Curar suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain. And the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Curar was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. It's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. For animals, right? The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. Jesus. That is kind of insane. That is the true nature of this deadly Curar poison. You're suggesting that this bottle, Council, actually contains this terrifying poison.
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem. If I may. All these facts. You think you're so clever. It is you who must be taught. I'm Parth. Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this! I for one refuse to accept it! The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules! How? What's so funny? Oh, excusez-moi, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yeah, I don't see, why not? She's gonna drink it. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry. To an English woman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no QR. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue, most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Because it was in the cup. It wasn't in the bottle. It's the cup, the glass she stole. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherness of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We're most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poisoned in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have killed over. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. The bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good stain, until it's as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was a guileless ending to a promised line of inquiry counsel for which... What? Okay, whatever. The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious.
Objection!
Fool! Are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court records somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Through a wound. The burn mark.
Yes!
Right? The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer? Synopsis. Special characteristics. It's written right here under practical applications, I think. Oh, really? Go on. Well, think about it. You want to know how the poison can be drunk without it taking effect? That's a practical application of, Oh, God. I fucked that up.
Objection!
Where... I have to read where it's at. Because I know the exact section, but I don't recognize... The terms are ass. I'm sorry! Is it the synopsis? It might be the synopsis. Special characteristics. Right? Yeah, special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel. Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. get to the point. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum. In this research paper here, under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see. That makes sense. Yes. The mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curar enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curar's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little rapscallion!
Pissed her off.
Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
Oh, this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I failed to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, Curar is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh, yeah, well, of course. Gastric suckers, what are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand.
It's because it's the burn. It was transmitted through the burn.
Order in the court. The court. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this Curar poison is completely irrelevant. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you can understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like.
Am I gonna get an objection?
And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
Hell yeah!
I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here.
This is monumental. The first objection of what was to become the greatest defense attorney in this series ever. I'm gonna cry.
You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Curar?
It's the burn, right?
It was a wound.
I'm gonna go with the
Take
burn.
that!
I'm sorry, Counsel, but the slipshod manner.
Okay, it's not. Listen, Ryunosuke. It's the other one then. Exactly. So we need some evidence that would prove the professor had a wound inside his mouth. Oh, the dental records! Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling it's the freaking dental records. Because he had his teeth removed.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference. The toxic effect of Curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poison water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Oh! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah! So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are also puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No! I mean, it could just slip. She's gonna break it. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the English woman. She just smashed that bottle. And in the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder! Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet. Here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Ah ha 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 ha! How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in that bottle, or not. You... And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right. I'm really looking at this photograph. It's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little... Objection! No! You killed the victim that day, using Curare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body? I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her,
But now, is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene.
Ryunosuke,
Yeah?
we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it.
What? What do you mean?
We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head.
In my head?
You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend upon.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now.
Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell.
What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of this same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue.
You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then. Let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence.
Alright, I can't wait.
This is it.
It's been niggling me for a while. Something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is...
This is blood, right? Clearly. I'm gonna save it though, just in case I get this wrong.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes. What is it?
He's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigation, don't you?
Absolutely.
I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day.
Objection!
Wait a minute. Where are you going with it? Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Ah!
This is all just him saying that he remembers that there was blood. He has no evidence still that there was blood. I need to see this plate. So I don't know why he's getting shaken up.
Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon.
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading me. Inspector, you mean
Yes, I took the plate in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all. I don't care if they call me a clumsy and thief.
You did what?
I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice.
Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a blood stain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now!
Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered. The steak.
Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it?
Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man. Show the court. Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. There's no blood.
No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's
impossible.
I know I saw it, I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate.
What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you.
Tisk, I can't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire.
I believe we may have finally reached a conclusion in this trial.
Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful, but I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Aha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost.
Ryunosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what.
Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself.
As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objections?
That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues? Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett. We must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled.
I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is the new clue? Might have been a mistake. You get what I did there?
Got it!
Can I take the plate out? Is that a thing? I can lift it! Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era. No, I don't mean what is it? I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition, I imagine. This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoei. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and bullion. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means...
Got it!
Good gracious, that's... Koban? What on earth? A Hoei era one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous question, how should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part in it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoei Koban just happened to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now.
Objection!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you.
Shut up!
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is...
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kiyorio Korekuda. Kiyori, as in Mr. Cucumber something. Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment of the gun was fired. In this Hoei era Koban, do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No! Please, why would Kurikuda's son of Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no
Yes!
sense. Which is why I'm asking to bring Kurikuda-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we've come back round to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban,
we'll find that it's a key element in the case.
What's this about? Why have I been called? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Otto? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves.
Exploited by the police, we were like miserable dogs. And gasped from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man and a trash. A worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner.
Be that as it may, Kurikuda-san. Something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute's memory serves, have you ever seen Miss Kobin?
Yes, that's it. The very exact one that it is. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoei treasure that my Rishti bones managed to misplace. It can't be.
As I thought.
Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. You found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meats and juices.
Is it sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously?
Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing, such an unconsociable thing?
Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case.
Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts, targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau.
Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected.
So that's why you were sent here intern undercover, is it?
Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Kobin incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurikuda-san's Kobin is all too clear.
What? What?
I think the court would like to hear the defense's views on this matter. Tell us, who is this despicable scoundrel that stole Kurikuda-san's Kobin and hid it under the steak?
It has to be her, right?
She wouldn't touch a steak, though.
Take that!
Yes, seems like a likely candidate for a clothing thief. Oh, I screwed that. Luckily, I saved it. I thought this was gonna be like some sort of weird switch where they were like, no, it's actually the guy that died is a thief, but it's
Take that!
right. No? This is a little cheaty, but I only have 1 life left, so I don't want to really start this over. All right, who did it? Right?
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that Kobin, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido! Ido is the mastermind behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby. It's you who's the monster, Nosa. Ugh. His son, though. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remain in place. And I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant. The place is heavy with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his Kobin. Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the stake. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Bang. Yes, when the professor was shot. I had the incriminating evidence as fast as I could on the double.
Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling on your own time? Well, Miss Brett. Of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency.
Indeed. The theft of the Kobin was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It certainly appeared to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder.
Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it?
Well,
And as for picking up your steak and biting it into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you're free to leave.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day.
Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming.
No, it's just something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up.
If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard.
Sorry?
You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over. Let's go.
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this?
Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke?
Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction.
I'm going to need to see evidence, counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory, where's the evidence to prove it? save it. I have like several notions that I want to get across. There's no silverware,
Take that!
so if I present it, the steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Okay, so I was off. I was on the right object, but I was off. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman. Then take a good look at the steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. That's a clear bite mark, right? As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Yeah, it's not like like they weren't cutting them up and eating them. I see. Ugh. Oh! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait. Of course, of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Barrett? Miss Brett, have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Mianosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes. Now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the blood stain I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court. It hasn't been. What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought? Can't be. I don't believe you have
Objection!
it. I don't. But there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense. Who possesses the conclusive evidence? It's either her with the glass Or it's the dude that steals everything.
Take that!
Okay. So it's the dude that steals.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it. Yeah. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence?
That's ridiculous.
No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks.
Yes.
Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Gnosis told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak, and as well as admitting to stealing Kurikuda-san's coin. He told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Teen Chun? Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Objection!
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Objection!
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates?
Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin under it. But then when the waiter around announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table.
What? You can't have... I never saw you do such a thing.
It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. However, fear not, Prosecutor San. I swear on the brass buttons on my uniform. That is all I did, sir.
All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak, and the plate it was on back to his own table.
Yes, that follows.
Inspector Hosonaga,
Yes.
earlier in this trial you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after that incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both.
That's correct.
Then please, present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat. It can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wiggling your way out of this. You're not wiggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the one who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. to confirm something. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. The blood. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett.
Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beef of steak and plate that was originally on the victim's table. Yes, sir. Yep, there it is. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak. Please, feel free to examine it. The blood stain. It's clearly visible.
Yes!
Look!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me.
In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim.
It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Outdone by a Japanese schoolboy. No, no, no.
Oh, she's losing birds. Those poor birds. Oh, there's the black one. There's some cool cuties, little cute birds. Oh, she's dead. Rest in peace. Did we do it?
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me.
Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened. The truth.
Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life, using Curar. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth.
So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because Curar is unheard of here in Japan.
Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would all be over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table.
That would be me, I suppose.
Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair, such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment.
A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man.
I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of Curar in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were 2 guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I had intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. So, there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency,
Yes.
I wonder, might I speak with you in private later?
I shall call on you.
Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san.
It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement.
This can't be. Takatsuchi Alchi does not lose. Not the likes of this rookie.
You'd better start getting used to tough opposition.
Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yeah? This insult to the Alchi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Chop him down. Oh.
Badass. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Alchi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan.
Damn, he like cursed him. all the pains that were to come.
This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency.
What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden?
Never mind. And as for you, Ryunosuke,
Yeah?
in you I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onward.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. Hey. Look at his face. That's what you get, Ouchie. You bastard. This court is now adjourned. And I'm going to end it there, guys. Leave a like, subscribe, share with a friend. We won our first case. On the next part, we will find out what's going to happen next. I will see you then.